The following is a hockey podcast out of Vancouver and Surrey, British Columbia. It'll only consist of a lot of puck talk and even more BS, or in actual words, banter and satire. Enjoy, and as always, go Canucks go.
The Vancouver Canucks struggling to sell some tickets, right? It's expensive to live here. Now we want to trade with our cousins, the Buffalo Sabres, Pettersson, Elliot Friedman, Rick Dahlin. Talking a lot. Well, what's going on? Can we just focus on the hockey?
You're Locked On Canucks, your daily podcast on the Vancouver Canucks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, happy Monday, and welcome to another episode of Locked On Canucks. My name is Trevor Beggs, co-host of Locked On Canucks, and also a Canucks writer with Daily Hive Vancouver. Before we dive into it, we got to thank you for tuning into Locked On Canucks, because it is your Canucks every damn day. And we're not here without you listening. We're also not here without those sponsors. And today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Go download that Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Kyle Bowen, he used Gametime to get his tickets for Seahawks and Packers on Sunday night. And Kyle Bowen showing more life cheering for the Green Bay Packers last night than the Canucks have shown all season long, okay? Yeah, the Canucks, they got an okay record. They're not in a bad spot, but things ain't well in Vancouver. We talked about it on the postgame on Saturday night, a dreadful loss to the Boston Bruins. And now Canuck fans waking up on Monday morning with Elliot Friedman tossing out some Elias Pettersson trade rumors. Do the Canucks actually want to trade Pettersson? Is he a complete untouchable for this team? Let's get into to kick off this episode of Locked On Canucks. We'll also touch on the Avs-Canucks game tonight. Again, both teams haven't had stellar starts in their own way. And we'll also get into our GOATs of the week as well. But before we get into it, let me introduce my co-host. He's alive. I'm shocked. Kyle Bowen. How you feeling, brother?
Dude, why are you shocked, man? I'm a man. I'm 31 and a half years old, 10 beers deep. I started drinking yesterday at 8:55 in the morning. That's when I shotgunned a beer. Straight up. I even popped a Zin. What's a Zin? You know what I'm saying? Like I seen the commercials. The it's an American. I live like an American. Okay. Yesterday. And I got the dub, and I'm here today because, hey, things always happen, man. You can't take a day off, especially right before we have a bunch of day offs coming up, right? Christmas, Boxing Day, New Year's, happy holidays. And Elliot Friedman, I'm not going to say puck you, okay? I'm not going to say that. But come on, man. Come on. A couple things. Because, again, Rick Dahlin kind of confirming that, again, Buffalo has called the Canucks on Elias Pettersson. Like that means something, because then you look at what Elliot Friedman said this morning on 32 Thoughts. He brought up, he's speculating, or not speculating, but just being a armchair GM. He's bringing up, Pettersson for Byram and Cozens, right? And I'm like, come on, man. What are you doing? A, you're bringing up the noise like you always do because you need the clicks. And B, you cannot tell me in any world that you actually think Cozens and Byram is a good trade for Pettersson, like a fair trade. Fair value. I know what this guy's doing in his head. A center and defenseman. They're both young. 2 for 1. Divvies it up. It equalizes the trade. Dude, Pettersson has had double the season. In his past, I feel like a couple of times that have been way better than any of the best seasons that Byram and Cozens have put forward. You know what I'm saying? That is not a trade you make. You make that trade, you're flirting with Cam Neely territory. If you're trading Pettersson and Buffalo, like I said, they're calling. Who knows what's going to happen? There's no movement no movement clause this year with Pettersson. Who knows? But if you're making a trade with Buffalo, it's for Rasmus Dahlin and nothing else.
Yeah, you don't think, again, we're talking hypotheticals here, but what about a Tage Thompson for Pettersson package? Does that entice you at all, Kyle?
I don't know. Actually, you know what? If you look at, I feel as if both players in their career so far have had 2 really individual standout seasons. Maybe Tage is like on pace for that this season. I'm tallying that up as a second. I could see something like that happen, but would I want that to happen? Dude, all I'm saying is we're talking about Elias Pettersson. We're not that far off from talking about this guy being one of the best players in this league, okay? Like I'm just aiming for Rasmus Dahlin, and that's it. That's it. I don't know how to get off of that, but you elaborate, bring it up. Thompson, Dahlin. I hope you're not Cozens and Byram, man. If you are, I'm leaving this show.
Yeah, I'm not Cozens and Byram. I mean, look, everydayers know this, but when we did our episode about should the Canucks trade for Bo and Byram, I wasn't even sure if I wanted to trade Nils Höglander for Bo and Byram, which again looks like a weird take right now because Höglander has 5 points in 29 games this season. But I think my point was I'm not convinced in Bo and Byram as this solution to the Canucks top 4. And I know he's put up points in his NHL career so far, but he's also shown some struggles in Colorado aside from his rookie season when they won the Cup. He's shown some struggles in Buffalo as well. And Dylan Cozens, I mean, 13 points this season in 31 games. I mean, he's, what is he, Nils Höglander territory? I mean, you could argue he's even worse value based on the contract he provides right now. But if you're going to trade Elias Pettersson, Kyle, and I do think that the Canucks are open to it. I'm not going to say they're going to trade him, but I think the Canucks are open to trading him because right now, something seems to be off with this team, whether it's something personal in the room, whether it's Pettersson himself, being inconsistent throughout most of the 2024 calendar year. The fact that he also has 1 year left before his no move clause kicks in. I'm not advocating for the Canucks to trade Pettersson. I've said time and time again, I believe in Elias Pettersson as a number 1 center, as a guy who can at least live up to that contract. But at the end of the day, Elias Pettersson, even if he lives up to that contract, he's not necessarily a value player anymore, right? He could be a 90-point guy and just be worth the $11.6 million. But I do think the Canucks are open to trading him because I think it's a bold management team. This is a management team that has made lots of bold moves in the past with other organizations. So I think they're open to trading Pettersson, but this whole trade Pettersson for Cozens and Byram thing, I know Ellie Friedman was just spitballing, but it was a stupid spitball to make. I mean, it's too struggling.
Stupid, bro. So stupid. I think it makes Friedman look a little bad, to be honest. Like, are you watching? Like, what's going on here? Come on. Like, I feel like that's a take I would make, like, I don't know, 3 years ago when I was tired of watching Jason Magna, and I actually stepped away from the game, What are you doing, man? Because here's the thing, too. You could bring up the desperate / delusional / holy F side of things from Buffalo, right? Like, why did they have to play it, quote unquote, safer with the trade? Like, they've sucked forever. And I know Dahlin just got named captain, right? And even if you bring up Tage Thompson, like, he's having 16 goals in like 20 something games. Again, he's kind of looking like he's that 50 goal guy like he was a couple of years ago, right? Like, why isn't Elliot Friedman saying that Buffalo may get rid of one of those guys? Like, why isn't your mind going there? No, straight up. This is a dysfunctional organization. You got to make big moves. Dahlin's been there for a while too. Like, well, who's to say that he's like the perfect guy for that room or the puzzle that fits there? Like, I don't know. Why can't they act crazy? Because again, even talking about trading Pettersson is crazy. It's crazy. It's not like when the Leafs were talking about trading Nylander. This is different. Because at Pettersson's best, he's a better player, a way better player, a bit of an outlier. So all in all, just a little disappointed from like the rumor being brought up, but more so again, just the what's going on? Like, do people really think Pettersson's that bad? Like, I know he's been struggling here, but I'm thinking that if they don't get a superstar back, this could be again one of the worst trades in franchise history.
Yeah,
if
you're theoretically making a trade with Buffalo, and again, Friedman's tying the strings together. Rick Dollywell reporting that the Sabres have called on Pettersson. It's got to be Thompson or Dahlin coming back the other way. I don't think there's any way around it. Like, they're a team like the Canucks who should be a contender, and I still believe could be a contender with Pettersson on the team. You can't be just trading Pettersson away for Cozens, Byram, and picks. Like, that makes no sense for a team like the Canucks. And, JT Miller, he's 31 years old. I mean, the Canucks window is tied to JT Miller and how effective he can be. But you're shrinking the window of this team by trading Elias Pettersson. Now, that being said, a Pettersson for Dahlin type of trade, I don't know if the Canucks go for that because, again, you already have a Hart Trophy left shot defenseman in Quinn Hughes. You got a management team and a coaching staff that likes their righties and lefties. And, if you think about a Dahlin trade, that does give me some 2007 Anaheim Ducks vibes where you got, Pronger and Niedermayer on the team, right? So there's some intrigue to that. But then the Canucks center depth is absolutely wrecked as well, right? Like, you kind of got to get a center back in some way, shape, or form if you're trading Elias Pettersson. Oh, yeah, by the way, you don't really get any cap savings on Dahlin either because I believe he's making $11 million. If not this season, it'll be next season. So, again, this is a guy who's already himself one of the highest paid players in the NHL.
No, that's why
with Tage Thompson, I'll say quick. I mean, talk about Pettersson, Kyle, being a bit of an outlier and providing more value. I think overall that's the case, but you do have a center in Tage Thompson who's 6'6", who's on pace for 50 goals, who's making $4 million plus less than Elias Pettersson. And he's a right shot too, which again, the Canucks have this need for a right shot center as well. Tage Thompson checks more boxes for the Vancouver Canucks. I'm just not sure the Buffalo Sabres go for it because, what problems are you really solving in Buffalo by trading Tage Thompson for Elias Pettersson in the package?
It's just like a power move. Like, again, these guys are desperate. They think like a shakeup may fix things. And again, you're getting Pettersson. Like, Pettersson's sick. Like, I don't know what else to say about that. They'd be pretty happy if they got Elias Pettersson back. I know what you're saying, though. Thompson's ripping it up, and he looks to be that guy he was a couple years ago again and all that. But again, Buffalo is just so weird, so dark. Part of me is like, do I even want any, like, you're talking about, people are just, I'm paraphrasing, but it feels as if people really truly believe that this team has quote unquote locker room problems, right? Like, you really want any freaking like bacteria from Buffalo coming in there? No, straight up. They're a bunch of losers over there. I'm sorry. It's just the truth. You can't, like, this is not the year you as a Buffalo Sabres fan that you expected this team to go 10 games without a win at one point. And they're doing that right now. It's crazy. It's stupid. And it's dark, man. This whole thing is dark, man. Even like, again, yesterday I was at the Packers game. I'm living life. I'm focused on the game. Like, I feel as if with the Packers for a long time, I've just been focused on like the actual football, like what can they do better in the first quarter, the second quarter? Like, why does their offense disappear? Just talk about the hockey stuff. Like, bro, with the Canucks so far this season, there's been so much off-ice BS already. And it's like, how come this is happening to a team? And again, a lot of it's out of their control, right? The injuries, the personal reasons, all this stuff. Like, but it just seems a little spooky. And it's like, dude, we just started winning games kind of. And I think this, like, now we're talking about Pettersson, Buffalo, boom, bam. Like, what is going on right now? I don't know if I like it, man. Kind of getting annoyed. But I guess this happens, right? I don't think it's a media thing. It definitely isn't that. It's just mediocrity. And, it's a pretty big sample size, 30 games into the season. If you look at how they played post-February last year as well, if you look at how they played in the Nashville series as well, like, they won a playoff series with the lowest shots on goal. Like, that's not, can't really brag about that too much. And, oh, yeah, they beat the Nashville Predators. Look at them in the standings right now. I get it. There's some skepticism.
Yeah, and I think one of the last things I want to say before we cut to break here is, with the conversation about trading Pettersson, if you have Miller on the team as your only number one center, I think there's a good argument that JT Miller is nowhere near the same player on the ice when Quinn Hughes isn't playing with him. Whereas Pettersson, if you look at their numbers with and without Hughes, Elias Pettersson at least still has, a positive expected goals for differential, right? The Canucks are still generating when Pettersson is on the ice without Hughes. Like, he can still drive his own line. I know that game-to-game consistency isn't there. I think the tendonitis or something is still bothering him because you look at his speed statistics on NHL Edge. He's not the same quick player that he was a couple of seasons ago even. But with JT Miller, when Miller's without Quinn Hughes on the ice, his expected goals for percentage over the last couple of seasons is like hovering around 40%. 40%. So, I mean, I'm incredibly skeptical of trading Elias Pettersson because of some maybe apparent locker room riff, because you believe he's not going to live up to the contract. I largely just think this is noise, but I do think this management team, they leave no stone unturned and that they would consider trading Pettersson. Hell, I mean, if we believe the reports from March, they considered trading him to Carolina. So why would we think all of a sudden that, there's no chance that they're going to trade Pettersson? There is a chance they trade Pettersson, but it is likely not the right move.
Oh, yeah. Again, it smells like Cam Neely. It does. It does. All in all, like, we have a game against the Avs today. Let's rip it up, man. Let's rip it up. It's freaking Christmas, dude. It's Christmas. Why does it feel like a funeral? Like, talking about this team sometimes, like, dude, it's relaxed. Like, we're still in the fight. We still got some good players here. 29 games into the season. Demko, Lankinen, Quinn Hughes. There's a recipe here for success. And I just talked about this with the Packers, right? Hey, winning fixes everything. Can we win a game tonight? And can we talk about that on the other side, Bexy?
Yeah, let's talk about the Avs and Canucks on the other side. Again, both teams imperfect, to put it lightly right now. We'll also get into our GOAT of the week as well. You're listening to Locked On Canucks, your Canucks every damn day. We'll be back on the other side after shouting out our friends over at Gametime. When Kyle needed some cheap tickets to watch the Packers annihilate my beloved Seattle Seahawks in Seattle, he got those tickets on Gametime, okay? And No, Game Time, they're focused on togetherness this holiday season. That means when you bring people together at live events, the experience is that much better for all. And it's the perfect gift. And man, oh man, there was some togetherness at Lumen Field in Seattle. I saw what you post on Instagram, Kyle. Josh Jacobs shouting at the Packers fans, saying it felt like a home game for the Packers. I see you cheering with your Packers buddies or random Packers fans in the stands. Again, sports is about togetherness, and Game Time, they make that happen. And not only are they giving you the deals, but they're making it even easier to find tickets with this new feature called Game Time Picks, okay? Game Time Picks filters at the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. So what are you waiting for? Stuff the stocking with some tickets from Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time.
People, we back. And that's doing this, talking about the Buffalo Sabres. What are we doing, man? Okay, how ironic would it be if we actually, again, if Jim Benning was the GM of the Vancouver Canucks, I feel like the Cozens trade would have already happened. And it would be so ironic to trade with the Sabres, our cousins, in theory, metaphorically speaking, when it comes to, when we're brought into the NHL. I guess we could say twins. And then, we got Dylan Cozens and boom, bam, next thing you know, it's just Cam Neely trade 2.0. Bro, remember the feeling in your heart when you watched Pettersson early on in his career? What would we be doing if we actually traded this guy? I can't even think about that, man. Come on, guys. Come on. Anyways, Begsy, Bowen. Watching the Colorado Avalanche game tonight from our homes. And what are you looking forward to, man?
Oh, God. I'm looking forward to the Canucks actually getting some chances on net. I mean, I say look forward to, like I believe it's going to happen, but I'm skeptical. Again, you got a team that is dead last in scoring chances against, which is still a bit mind-boggling. I'm trying to be glass half full, and I think the glass half full take is they haven't played with their full complement of players all clicking on cylinders at all this season. And they're making some desperation moves to the lineup, so we'll see if that changes things. I know you got, I don't have the lines in front of me. Was it Garland with Besser and Miller on the top line?
Yeah, I like that. Let's talk about that. Let's open that one up a bit. I like it a lot, man. Because Garland's playing like he's one of the best forwards on our team. He's been doing that all season long. I think JT's actually looked good over his first 2 games since his return. I think he's, you broke down the stats. It seems as if he plays a lot with Quinn Hughes. Like that's the match, Quinn Hughes, JT Miller on the ice at the same time. He's making the most of that. I feel as if he's creating space out there. That line having a bit more possession, even when Garland wasn't on there, right? I thought the first 10 minutes of that game, Hoglander actually didn't play bad. And again, Miller's line was doing its thing. Now we're going to see Miller and Garland and Besser just get an extended look here. And I have no reason to not believe that this is going to be super, super, super dynamic, like good for 1 to 2 goals a game. And, that does connect again with Quinn Hughes being on the ice too with them a lot.
Yeah, and I think Rick Tocchet deserves a lot of criticism for how the Canucks have generated chances or failed to generate chances so far early on. But he's going with more of a typical strategy for a lot of NHL teams. And again, kind of typical what the Colorado Avalanche do in terms of stacking up the top 6 or your top line and rewarding guys who have played well. And you look at the Canucks right now, Garland has been arguably the team's, I wouldn't say arguably, he's been the team's most consistent forward so far this season. You put him with Besser and Miller, who, they showed some chemistry in Florida. I don't think anyone played well against Boston. But you theoretically have maybe the team's best 3 forwards on one line, Sans, Elias, Pettersson there. And then on the second line, you got DeBrusk and Pettersson with Max Sasson. So again, DeBrusk and Pettersson have clicked through most of November. And then with Max
they
Sasson,
haven't clicked they haven't clicked that much though, man. They have not clicked that much though. Like 5-on-5, it's not they're not dominating as like Garland does, 5-on-5. It's not, it doesn't look like that. But the whole Sasson thing, like I have a theory that maybe Sherwood's a little tired. Again, 6,000 hits in his first 18 games of the season, right? Like you tried doing that. I drank 10 beers last night, dude. I'm not hungover, but I'm tired. It's hard out there. It's hard to go hard in the paint all the time. And I think I'm only saying that because Sherwood's not there anymore on that line with Pettersson, DeBrusk. But you also have now an opportunity for the fastest, like one of the faster skaters to play on that line. And Sasson, he's making things happen. He's creating space. He's playing excited out there. That's what I'm trying trying to say, oh, he's playing with a step in his game. And we've seen that piece or that style of player work with DeBrusque and Pettersson. So, I was confident about Garland, Miller, and Besser. I'm pretty confident in Sasan, Pettersson, and DeBrusque. But a lot of that weighs on Pettersson waking up from this 5-game nap that he's been on.
Yeah, I honestly felt like the Max Hassan promotion to the Pettersson DeBrusque line was a bit of an FU to the rest of the forwards. Because again, everyone struggled against Boston. Against Florida, they played better, obviously, but against St. Louis, it was another game where you were heavily relying on goaltending, more or less, to bail the team out. So, Talkin mentioned a post game, and Kyle, we haven't really touched on that too much because when we did the post game show Saturday night, we didn't have Talkin quotes, but Talkin talked about how specifically 4 or 5 guys are really struggling right now and struggling to get emotionally invested in the game. What were your thoughts when he said that, and who do you think he's talking about?
Well, you can just see on the ice who he's talking about. Again, like it's again DeBrusque 5-on-5. It's also Besser. It's Pettersson. I think it's those 3. It's fun. Again, Höglander, though, I think in that Boston game, I didn't see, unless I was just blinded or just super optimistic for the guy and being nice to him. Like I didn't see that. I saw a play that was lacking excitement on Saturday. Okay,
but execution, I would say so.
Fair enough. Execution, 100%. This guy's still, he's like, who he reminds me of with the puck on his stick? Ilya Mikheyev right now. Like like plays just die on him. But to ramble on more about this whole notion that there's a group of players there that are not bringing the energy, not bringing the effort in these games, and they need a while to get themselves going, and that's not good enough. And again, Tocchet alluded to this. Tocchet, wake them up then. You're the coach. And again, Rick Tocchet, we seen the highlights, okay? We seen the clips. For real, it's your turn to adapt, and I know you don't want to be this yelly, screaming, mother effer type of guy, right? Maybe this wasn't the way it got done in Pittsburgh, and as an assistant coach, you want to. But bro, things are different, and you were an assistant coach back then, and you're not leading Crosby and Malkin, a duo that did make it to the mountaintop, okay? In 2008, 2009, whatever it was, okay? You're leading Hughes, Pettersson, Miller, Besser, etc. They're not those guys. We saw what you could be, again, in the highlight packages and all this jazz, and you're that fiery guy. Be that fiery guy and wake these guys up. I don't know how we can sit there and just wait for these guys to do it themselves. They're not going to do it. And, hey, that could be a knock on their character. Oh, why are we paying a guy 11.6 if he can't wake himself up, or Besser, all these? Dude, just the way it is. This is an inexperienced Canucks team. They haven't won a lot of games. They don't know how to do it. So show them how to do it. And I think some authority is needed right now. Are you not allowed to yell at your players in 2024, 2025? Like, wake them up. That's the way to wake up, isn't it? Like, to be held accountable. And then it's the next move. And maybe we see it today, which we got to talk about too, Trevor. Like, maybe on the other side, maybe we have to cut goats of the week. Okay. Straight up. Because a part of me feels like, based on what we heard this morning, based on what Rick Dhaliwal is saying, based on now touching on how he might take away ice time now, like, this game tonight feels like the most important game in a very long time for the Vancouver Canucks. Like, it doesn't feel game 7, round 2, obviously, but it feels pretty big, bro.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, again, you got a team in Colorado who is starting to fire on all cylinders a little bit more. They've upgraded their goaltending. They have struggled early on because they have a very top-heavy lineup. But you look at the last week, Nathan McKinnon and Mikko Rantanen lead the league with 9 points in 3 games for each of them in the past week of hockey. So, it's not going to be an easy test for the Vancouver Canucks, especially if the Stars aren't going. When it's Colorado and Vancouver, it's got to be mano a mano, Stars versus Stars, Hughes versus Makar, Miller versus Rantanen, and Pettersson versus McKinnon. That kind of hype matchup. And in that regard, you don't really like the Canucks odds, but because of this homestand and how brutal they've been in almost every single of their last home games, really everything except the Florida game, which now more and more seems like an outlier, this team better show up tonight and show something. I mean, what do we say in the Boston game? I think I expected more of a push from Boston. You were predicting blowout. I don't think you were predicting the Boston Bruins blowing out the Canucks, but
yeah, I
expected it to be a close game. And for them just to show nothing when they're playing behind Thatcher Demko, who's just coming back to the lineup, that's a troubling sign. And they better wake up tonight and show something against the Colorado Avalanche.
That's a sign to me that I don't know, it's not fun being a Vancouver Canuck. It's a sign to me that they don't give a, you know what I'm saying? Like, what's going on? That's crazy to me. Anyways, Begsy, who's shouting out? And before we get to the last part of the show, and one love to all the comments. We'll get to some of these, man. I don't know if you've been starring some, but the people are talking about it. Again, this feels like the game of a lifetime tonight against Colorado.
Man, oh man, you were riding that Packers high. Unbelievable. Yeah, I do want to get to a few comments to the side. Maybe we'll rip through Goats of the Week in 30 seconds and talk more about, again, in the comments, more about the Pettersson trade talk as well. You're listening to Locked On Canucks, your Canucks every damn day. We'll be back after showing at our friends over at FanDuel and Rocket Money. Man, oh man, I'm glad I didn't place anything on my Seahawks last night because I'm a hopeful fan and they got their butts kicked by the Packers. But whether you're betting on the NFL, the NHL, or pickleball, make sure you do so on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on sports, all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, go check out the latest stats, view that live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. Get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet on FanDuel.com.
One love to FanDuel.
All right. Shout out to Rocket Money. Did Rocket Money help you find any subscriptions you forgot about or that you were paying for twice? That's happened to me. Okay. It's a busy life, 2 kids, podcasts, all that good stuff. And I had a few subscriptions that I didn't even realize I was paying for. And Rocket Money made it so easy to track them all down. It's like having a personal assistant for your finances. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps you find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions. It monitors your spending and helps you lower your bills so you can grow your savings. It brings together everything in one place, whether it's subscriptions, your spending habits, or even the goals you want to hit this year and into 2025, baby. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved a total of $500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year, all while using the app's premium features. For me, one of the best features is the subscription tracker. I've used to cancel services I wasn't using anymore, like XN. Wait, what? And I've already saved a ton. Plus, with their goals feature, I've been able to automatically set aside my money for the future. So no more stressing about budgeting every month, man. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/lockedon today. That's rocketmoney.com/lockedon. rocketmoney.com/lockedon.
People, we back doing this, and that's talking about your Vancouver Canucks. One love to the Don'tos Art Lab for giving us the space to give you that West Coast bias. Again, Beggs and Bowen here, and you are here also. So many comments. I'm down to work a little overtime to read some of these comments. I know we're pretty late on time here, but Beggsy, if you got to go, don't worry, do your thing. Bring home the bacon. Speaking of home, how's life? How was the weekend? How the children doing?
Yeah, you know what? I'm just glad I didn't spend $300 to go join you at the Seahawks Packers games. Instead, I went to a Christmas Light Festival in Cloverdale, man, which was incredibly chaotic. But I spent far less than I would have down at Lumen Field.
Hey, Begsy, it's not about the money, baby. It's not about the money. It's about the experiences, man. I'm pretty sure if you spent that money to come down with me, we still would have had a good time drinking beer, watching some football before the football that we paid to see. It was a good day, man. I got no problem spending money. Like for real, like. Trevor, life is long, but life is also short. All right, straight up, man. And I promise you, man, when you on the bed of death, you're not going to be checking your iPhone and your bank balance. Okay, you're gonna be closing your eyes, just reminiscing on life. Speaking of life, though, I don't know, Trevor. Do you want to pick a couple comments? Because I think the people are stressed. I don't know, like we're emotional. I even saw Mother Knucker with a really interesting comment about how the Canucks and the fan base right here. I got to read this one. Saying that our fan base thrives on chaos. When we win the cup, we'll find something to complain about as well. I don't know if we thrive in chaos. Like I don't know if the Canucks fan base has ever realistically can we brag about thriving for much of our first 55 years of existence. Like I want thriving to connect with like perennial annual playoff success. You know what I'm saying? Like this chaos to me sometimes sounds like BS, and I want to punch myself too for maybe even talking about Pettersson for Dahlin or Pettersson for Thompson. Because I'm like, yo, like just support Pettersson, but I'm just not content right now, man. And as Mike alluded to in the comments as well, like it feels like this has been the case since February, and that feels like a long time, man.
Yeah, it is a long time, right? We're pushing the 1 year mark, the All-Star break of last year, where things seemed to really change for the Vancouver Canucks. And again, they weren't one of the best teams at generating early last season, but they masked it by the high PDO, the high shooting percentage. But yeah, something's fell off this team for a while. And Kyle, you alluded to it about 50 minutes ago. Winning fixes everything. And while the Canucks are, again, not just losing games, but getting thoroughly spanked in their own barn. I mean, come on, man. That's like, it's a spanking so bad it should be on Pornhub, man. It's unbelievable.
Woo! And isn't that like a sign, Trevor? Because you didn't really get to elaborate on your thoughts on Tocchet's thoughts about the effort and people need to wake up and energy. But like the amount of ass kickings this team has taken on home ice, and also you got to throw in the ass kicking that we took in Pittsburgh as well. Like I'm remembering these things. You want to even throw in the ass kicking that we got against Boston in Boston. If it's not for Kevin Lankinen, that game is 18-1. No, straight up, look at the highlights. I think the Canucks won that game with like 13 or 15 shots. All in all, though, that's like a number. That's like 33% of the year where the Canucks have looked like ass. Again, connect that with Tocchet's comments about the energy, and I feel as if I'm starting to believe like something's wrong. You know?
Yeah, there is something wrong right now, right? I mean, how does a team like the Canucks have less chances per 60 than the Chicago Blackhawks, the Anaheim Ducks, the San Jose Sharks? Like it's a sad state of affairs right now, man, and it makes you think that something's seriously wrong with this team overall. And obviously, like, again, when there's losing, when there's struggles like this right now, there's going to be questions. I know Mike Laval and a few others have said in the comments, it was obvious we needed defense in free agency, yet we signed 6 wingers. And this is something that's come back to bite the Canucks. But I think aside from that, there was a lot of hope in this market, not including myself, that Carson Soucy would step up and be a top 4 guy, that you're going to be fine with Soucy, Hronek, and Quinn Hughes as your top 3. Myers is maybe a top 4. And the fact that Soucy and Myers haven't worked out and they didn't add anyone else to this defense is a huge problem right now as well. But again, there's struggles all over this team right now. And in terms of Tocchet's comments from Saturday night, when I think about this team, it's funny because we give Tocchet a hard time about the system and, you know, the system's suffocating the Canucks. And I think there's numbers that back it up based on what he did in Arizona. That being said, I think when you listen to him talk, he's frustrated that the team is dumping and chasing so much, right? He mentioned himself. He's just like, sometimes, you know, the guys have 4 or 5 feet of ice in front of them and they just dump the puck in. They have space to make a play to pass their teammate and they ice the puck. Like this team is just making boneheaded decisions and not finding each other on the ice. They're not
having fun
right now.
They ain't having fun, baby. They don't want to have fun. That's what you saying, man. Now you also saying they ain't listening to the coach. What's going on, Trevor? Can we just I just want to enjoy Christmas dinner with my family and Christmas breakfast. I just want to wake up and not have to talk about this at the table. Unreal, man. What happened? What happened at Michael Bublé, man? Oh, dude, I figured it out. Man. Trevor Beggs, man. Hey, we've done the magic mushies before too, man. Sometimes they can take you to a mysterious place, and if you're not careful, if you're not around secure people, strong people, your family, your friends, you know, you could make discoveries that you didn't want to make. So all I'm saying is we got to look back. There might be an ESPN 30 for 30. If all of this crumbles and this core actually get it done, and Pettersson gets traded for Dylan Cozens and Miroslav Satan, honestly speaking, bro, we got to go back and see what like Michael Bublé was doing with the boys at the All-Star game. Real talk, man. This is nuts. We put it together, man. They're not having fun anymore. Trevor, to bring in the hockey nerd about it, like if Tocchet is saying they're not listening to me, they're not making the plays that we draw up, you think I'm telling the boys to dump it and chase it every time? Because now people are making that connection, right? Oh, Rick Tocchet, a defensive coach. Like, this guy doesn't want offense. Rick Tocchet almost had 1,000 points. Rick Tocchet played a lot of hockey with Mario Lemieux and Wayne Gretzky. Okay? Oh, he coached Crosby and Malkin. He was also coaching a team with, they struggled, but he was coaching a team with Paul Kariya, Timo Solani, Peter Forsberg, Joe Sakic, Milan Hajduk, Marek Svatos, okay? All those guys. I'm pretty sure this guy likes offense. And now he's saying these guys don't even want to make plays to each other. They don't want to make that pass. They're playing boring hockey because they're bored. They're not having fun.
And the other thing interesting about Tocchet's comments from Saturday night too, like to piggyback off of that, Kyle, and Tocchet was, I want to put this in context, he was specifically talking about the power play, but he mentioned that sometimes when we're struggling, we're down a couple goals. He said the words, quote, we start playing like individuals. And that to me really stood out. Again, talking about just the power play, but you know, that's something where you got to have a cohesive unit to have one of the best teams in the league, right? To contend for the Stanley Cup. And when the head coach is starting to say that we play like individuals, to me, that is a warning sign, right? And you start tying these things together, talk about guys being not emotionally invested to start the game, guys playing like individuals. Talkett deserves some heat, and rightly so, for the Canucks struggles. He's not getting the team up and ready to go, but it does seem like there is a bigger issue in that locker room right now. And Kyle, I know you're stressed out, and
Trevor,
I got a
pimple. Trevor, I got a pimple. I'm 31 and a half years old. I thought my days of I'm using rose hip oil. Okay. I thought my days of pimples were over. I got a pimple, bro. Look at my hair.
Yeah.
I'm balding like crazy too. Like, what's going, I got to retire from the game, bro.
The funny thing about Kyle's pimple is actually on his ass. Those girls can't spank him anymore, man. Unbelievable stuff. Kyle needs to get out of here because he's too stressed out about the Canucks. I'm going to go to the week quickly for the best players from last week, and then wrap up the show here on Locked On Canucks. All right, the goats of the week here on Locked On Canucks, where we go through the 5 best Canucks of every week, and some familiar names popping up on the list. But at number 5, I'm showing out the guy who was one of the best Canucks from last week, and that was Max Sasson. I showed it to him for picking up a couple assists against Florida, getting his first career goal against the Boston Bruins, and it was the only highlight really in an otherwise dreadful night. And now he's been rewarded with a spot in the Canucks top 6 alongside Jake DeBrusk and Elias Pettersson tonight at Rogers Arena. At number 4, I have Connor Garland, still driving play last week, picks up a couple points, no goal. One of the few Canucks who was not on the ice for a goal against at even strength last week. And as Kyle and I alluded to, I think I'm fascinated to see this all-American line of Brock Besser, JT Miller, and Connor Garland. Might just be what the Canucks need right now to wake the team up. And you got to credit Rick Tocchet. Sometimes I think he deserves criticism for how quickly he switches lines up. But this is something that I'm curious to see heading into the game against the Avalanche tonight. At number 3, I have Quinn Hughes. Another pretty solid week for Quinn Hughes. Only on the ice for 1 goal against, on the ice for 3 goals for. When the Canucks are on the ice, he controls possession. When they're not on the ice, they suck. You know the deal. And this is telling for the Canucks week last week. I have Thatcher Demko at number 2, even though he lost 2 games, even though he allowed 9 goals, because I think what he did for the Canucks was far better than what the numbers actually showed. He kept the Canucks in a game against the Blues they did not deserve to win. In his first game back in over 200 days, he made a number of 5-alarm saves off of Boston Bruins players in that loss to the Bruins. Again, there's better days to come for Thatcher Demko, but you can't ask for much more from the guy than what he showed in the game against Boston and the game against St. Louis. So I have him as the second best Canuck last week. And that tells you all you need to know about this goddamn team when a guy who lets in 9 goals in 2 games is the second best player from last week, according to me. And finally, at number 1, I have Kevin Lankinen. 1 start, 1 shutout, baby. Kevin Blankinen. Man, oh man, it's not much else you can say about this guy. He's been a rock for the Canucks this season. And in terms of our overall GOAT rankings, it's Quinn Hughes and Kevin Lankinen firmly at number 1 and 2 in our yearly rankings. And I got Kiefer Sherwood, Connor Garland, and Elias Pettersson rounding up the top 5. Now, when I look into the week ahead, JT Miller's missed some time. Brock Besser's missed some time. But those are 2 guys that I want to see end up in the top 5 next week and go to the week. And again, not to say they've been bad. I think they picked up points last week. Brock Besser tied for the team lead. Brock Besser and JT Miller and Max Sasson actually tied for the team lead. Each had 3 points in 3 games last week. Miller in 2 games. But Miller and Besser I want to see as 2 of the best Canucks next week. And again, it's got to come for the rest of the team as well. But those are 2 guys who started to find some chemistry against Florida and then all seem to dissipate against Boston. But at least Brock Besser and JT Miller show me more. Elias Pettersson show me more as well. But the Canucks stars has got to be the Canucks stars.
Why are you lying, dude? Pettersson hasn't done ish. Pettersson hasn't done ish, bro. He hasn't done anything in a long time. It feels like it's been like 8 days, 9 days. You're in the holiday spirit. I'm not in the holiday spirit right now. I need to see more from Pettersson, okay? Anyways, let's get to some comments before we get out of here really, really quickly. Well, look at this comment from Infamous, okay? He's saying less than a year ago, people were begging Pettersson to sign, and now we want him gone. We have the craziest fans hands down. I mean, even at the time, there were a lot of people that didn't want to sign Pettersson too. But we weren't those people. I wasn't. I thought Pettersson was. I want Pettersson to be one of the best players on the planet. Like that. That's it. And I want him to do it with the Vancouver Canucks. And now we're trading in for Tage Thompson and Tempo Newman. Okay.
Jason Pominville, maybe.
Holy, Tony Ludman. Unreal. How about this? Susie, and Pettersson for Thompson and Byram.
Ugh. I'm not doing it
Oh man.
because I'm a pansy.
One more comment. Oh my god! Look what happened, man. Look at Roland. The only reason the Canucks lost the cup in 2011 is because Kessel was there. Yo, that's the top episode we have today, man. Let's get out of here, man.
It's a dark time in Vancouver now. It's just a pretty dark time for a team that is still 15, 9-5 and in a playoff spot. But the fans have seen it on the ice right now. It's been a bad homestand, and we expect more from this team, especially when they entered the season as Stanley Cup contenders. But it is a long season to go. I do believe this team to turn around, but they better show something quick because right now there are more questions than answers about the Vancouver Canucks. Whether there's questions or answers about this team, you know that we got you covered on all the analysis. We got all the answers, of course, too, here on Locked On Canucks. So shout out to the everydayers and the occasional listeners, the first-time listeners, the new subscribers, and those of you who join us on the live show on YouTube. Again, doesn't matter when or where you're listening. We just appreciate you for tuning in to Locked On Canucks. If you like what we're doing, go subscribe and like the video on YouTube. On the podcast side, oh, baby, go follow us and leave a good old 5-star review. We've seen those trickle in, and we appreciate the F out of you for doing so. Kyle, I don't know if you're going to be up for the postgame tonight. Who knows if I'll be up either, but we will be back tomorrow on Locked On Canucks as well. Again, go Canucks, go. Make something happen against Colorado Avalanche. Don't trade Pettersson for Cozens and Byram. Elliot Friedman, shut the F up. And time for us to get the F out of here. I'm Trevor Beggs. That's Kyle Bound. And you've been listening to Locked On Canucks.
Beggsy, baby.